Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm finished painting for the day, so I'm back working on Scott's 258 engine. I put 4 coats of clear coat down on the spruce tip green metallic CJ5, and I don't know, I sprayed for about 4 hours or so, and now it's engine time. I always paint first because I don't want to get grimy and then go in the booth. Okay, Scott's crank is in. Pistons, rings. There's a new oil pump for you, Scott. Timing cover is kind of just sitting on there. There's a gasket and stuff, but the balancer, I don't know if you can see it, it has a real bad groove in it. So I got to get a repair sleeve for the damper here, and then leave this a little bit loose. There's no pins or anything that locates in, and then put the damper on there, and that'll center up the seal on the damper, and that'll make it leak free. But the engine's coming along. I've been getting some parts in. We'll go take a look at those in just a little bit. Let me flip it over and I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, 60 over pistons are in, and you've seen me do it before. Every piston is hand fit to the cylinder. These seal tested pistons were quite a bit out. I had to change holes over 1.5 thousandths, which is kind of crazy for a piston manufacturer. But they're in there, and they fit perfectly, and that's the reason why you got to hand fit every single piston now to the hole. We're not quite a zero deck on Scott. We've got about 14 thousandths here that the piston's recessed. Not a big deal. On this other 258 I'm doing, I put the crank in yesterday and put a couple pistons in and measured to see where I needed to get for a zero deck. And this is going back on the Blockmaster, and we're going to take 28 thousandths off the block there to get a zero deck. This one's going a little more extreme, and I want a zero deck on that one. So Scott is just about ready for the cylinder head to go on. I got to get the lifters down in there and you know, some more things. I get the pan painted and stuff, but we're getting closer. And we did talk about what kind of intake and carburetor and stuff we were going to put on this, and I did have to change that up a little bit. So we'll go over to the bench, talk about what's best for this engine and why I went the route I did. Okay guys, here's the 6-cylinder header. This is a tuned header. It's been used for years, developed by Jack Clifford way back in the day. Now I used to be able to get headers like this. You know, I'm kind of dating myself, but way to hell back when Borla used to make a very nice stainless steel header. Nobody's making a good stainless steel header for the 258. So we'll probably send this out and have this coated. I don't know. It depends. It depends what Scott wants to do. But the high performance coatings, the ceramic coatings, are pretty nice. They last much better than paint. But there's the header, and that'll add a little bit of power. And let's take a look. Okay. Now, this is where I wound up on the carburetors for that engine. Now, if you get a single carburetor, and I talked about it with Scott, and he was going to go with the Holley 390. And I like the Holley 390. I've had it on a bunch of stuff. And I've got a love-hate relationship with electric chokes. So I always, when I use a 390, I get the kit and I put a manual choke on it. But anyway, the 390s now are almost $800, and they're not great. So by the time you get just a single plane intake, a Holley 390, the manual choke conversion kit, it's almost what this setup is. Now Scott has an automatic transmission. We put 373 gears in there, and if we put the 390 on there, we would have ran out of carb, I don't know, in the 3,000 RPM range. These are Webers. These are not the junky 3236s that you see as a kit that go on to CJ7s on the stock manifold. That's not what we want. These are the 38s. If you look around here, you'll see there's no area for PCV valve. Run the engine with these with no PCV valve. There's no massive leaking. You do have a port here and here if you need it. Like, we'll use one of these for power brakes and stuff. And this is a water heated manifold. Inlet and outlet. Inlet and outlet doesn't really matter. Just hook your heater hoses where they need to go. But this is a very high quality manifold. These are probably the best carburetors you can get right now. And being that that engine, that's 6-cylinder, I don't know, what is it, almost 3 feet long. Single carburetor in the middle is gonna not deliver the air-fuel ratio like 2 carburetors would. Only thing you can do better than this maybe is make a custom manifold and put 6 individual carbs. But tuning those would be a bear. Anyway, this comes from Clifford Performance. And back when I was 16, I had my first Jeep, a 79 CJ7, 258, T150 3-speed. Didn't excite me. Okay, needed some zip. So, you know, back 40 years ago, I called up Clifford Performance, and Jack was there, and I got an intake and carburetor, and it made such a huge difference. I thought, you know, the Jeep had wings. Well, let's fast forward to now. I've done a bunch of 258s, 232s, 304s, 360s, 401s, you name it. When I had that 79 CJ, I got rid of that, and because I had the V8 fever, and I got a V8 Jeep, and actually the 6-cylinder went just as good as that 304 Jeep I had. Anyway, Scott, this is where I'm at with your project. If you don't like this for some reason, it is the best setup we can do, but if you don't like it for some reason, I'll stick it on that engine that I'm doing. No problem. You'll be able to run these carbs up to, you know, you won't run out of carburetor, you won't run out of air, nothing. I mean, this is a good free-flowing system. You zip right up over $5 grand with these without any trouble. A single carburetor, especially the 390, is going to hold us back with our 373 gears, the automatic, and just a whole setup of the Jeep. There's a very mild cam in here, and this is the best setup. So we'll have our 2 fuel inlets, we'll have a fuel regulator here, we'll deliver 3 pounds to these guys, and we can probably expect somewhere around 22 to 25 miles per gallon with this particular setup. It's not going to be over carbureted or anything. It is just going to be smooth, perfect performance. Now, Larry is running Clifford Performance now. Super nice guy, super knowledgeable about getting power out of 6 cylinders that you never dreamed possible. You can reach him at this number here, 207-291-4155. You tell him that Brian told you to give him a call, and he will get you set up with something like this. This takes your 115 or 112 horsepower that you get out of these 6 cylinders, and it adds a huge amount of horsepower and torque with just this setup. Now, the old Clifford cams are almost non-existent now. I'm trying to work with Larry there and get some of those cam grinds back. It's tough getting cams. Like I said, the cam world is really screwed up, and it's kind of tough to get stuff now. But there it is again. you guys want to put a 258 together, that right now is the best header on the market. The intake, the carbs, he has single intakes. This is a better setup, I believe. It does have electric chokes, and those, you know, I'll set those up to work properly, and this will be a good run setup. But if you want anything for your 6-cylinder, your 258, if you're a Ford guy and you got a 300, if you're a Chevy guy and you got a 235, Larry is your guy. That's who you want to give a call, and he will get you set up with the best stuff. So, you know, I don't get anything from Larry, nothing like that. He's just the right guy to work with. He has played around with these 258s for long enough to know exactly what works and what doesn't. And I've probably been on the phone with him more than I should be. And we were discussing this Scrambler project. And this is where I believe we should be. Again, Scott, if you don't like it, it's not a problem. But this is the best setup for you, I believe. It's gonna give you the best mileage. It's gonna give you the best RPM range, and I know you'll love it. So you could trust me on this, or if you're fixed on going another way, just let me know. Okay, here's our Scrambler chassis again. I was able to get the transmission mounted. And it's kind of just sitting there. I'm trying to get the engine finished and in the chassis as well, but just trying to clean up and get things out of the way. I got a couple sandblasting pots right there. I do have one job that I have to get done for a local contractor. He's got to we got to get a utility body sandblasted and painted up for his truck. He's just a regular working guy like I am, so I have to get that done, and it's a big utility body, an enclosed one, so I'm gonna have another guy help me, and we'll double team that thing with 2 sandblasters and try and knock it out and get the CJ5 out of the paint booth and get him in the paint booth and you know, on his way. Gotta get things going while the weather's warm, so I'm making progress on everything. Just don't show everything all the time, but making progress, and hopefully that 258 will be snuggled in that chassis soon. Okay guys, I got a few more engines in the works as well. There's the cylinder head for the F head I'm doing, and let's take a peek over here. Here is the F head right here. There's Bertram's M38, and I was able to get his cylinder head perfectly flat yesterday. We had a big hollow in the center. I got this cylinder head off the engine, and you take a used cylinder head off an engine and you lean it up against a wall and you let it sit for many years and stuff. They sometimes take a little bit of a set. A new old stock head that's never been on anything can stay flat for 100 years. But after a cylinder head has been through a heat and cool cycle numerous times, and I could tell this engine was probably overheated at one time, because the cylinder heads get super hard to get a good finish on. When they get overheated, they get extremely hard, and this one you could tell may have been overheated at one time. So you take it off the block, let it sit around, and they do. Took quite a bit of machining to get this belly out of here. I was cutting the end and each end of it and wasn't even touching the middle. But it's perfectly flat now. We'll get the engines washed and get those on the Blockmaster and get the block decked on both of these guys. I still have undercover here that Chinese block I'm working on, and I still have the Willys Americar 442 engine. And both of these need to be washed and ready for final assembly. So, as always, there's a lot going on, so just hang in there with me, making progress on everything. Hey guys, just want to show you a Jeep. My buddy Dennis stopped by. The weather's beautiful today. And here is his 47 CJ2A. And this is one that I did over 20 years ago, back when I was in my old shop. It still looks good. It's a pasture green. We recently put on some radials here. We had the NDTs on here, and these radials are a little bit better for driving. Still looks super clean. Tilted windshield. It's like almost, I don't know, almost 80 degrees today. And that's what she looks like. Here's the engine bay, still looking pretty good. Battery box I made way back when for a 6-volt Optima and some accessories. So looking good. We got a few more weeks, it seems like, maybe of nice weather for driving these old guys, and then it's going to get cold and nasty and winter will be upon us. So still a good looking Jeep after 20 years.
No joke.
Yeah, man, give it hell. Okay guys, it's been another crazy day. Here's another 258 that snuck in. I had to rebuild a cylinder for a guy. He's coming to pick that up now. So we got one. Here's a Chinese engine block going for cleaning. That's two. There is my 258. I just took that off the Blockmaster. We now have a 0 deck on that. I put the crank in, the pistons in, measured them all. I just took another 30 thousandths off that. We have a 0 deck on that now. 442 engine. That's the Americar engine. And I got an F-head undergoing restoration right now. And I got Bertram's engine right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 engines are going out to be washed. So got to get them a little cleaner than they are now so I can start machining. This engine just needs a bath so I can start assembling it. Same thing with the Chinese block. That's probably going to be the 10th wash on that one. But I want to make sure everything is out of it. And we'll rewash that 258. So days kind of get away from me here sometimes. There's always something going on. There's a lot to do. And trying to get everybody's project finished. So I'm going to have to call it quits here today. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.